Good morning, and thank you for joining us for our virtual 2020 Memorial Day program. We would much prefer to have this ceremony here in this beautiful memorial garden at the National Museum of the Pacific War in Fredericksburg, Texas. But the most important thing is that you're joining us today, joining with millions of other Americans who are attending similar ceremonies and programs worldwide to honor those young men and women who paid the ultimate sacrifice in service of this country. I was honored and privileged to serve in the armed forces in the Marine Corps. In those 40 plus years, starting in Vietnam and going through Iraq, I had the privilege of working with some great young Americans. They are eye-watering. They accomplish extraordinary things, sometimes in the face of extreme danger and at risk of their own lives. It's always amazed me that they were willing to give up things that matter most to people: a long life, a family, children, grandchildren. I often ask myself, why would they do that? I've thought about that a great deal. And I think it's because of two reasons. One, they did it for the individual on the right and the individual on the left. They were not going to let their buddies down. They were not going to let their unit down. Secondly, they did it because they believed in something larger than themselves. And I can tell you, money cannot buy that. And we can never lose that. And as long as we have such programs as we're having today, I don't think we will. Our guest speaker today, Chief Warrant Officer Candy Martin, along with her family, epitomize what it means to serve this country in our armed forces. She served in the United States Army for 38 years, retiring as a CW05 in 2013. She now lives in San Antonio along with her husband, a retired Army Sergeant Major. They have one son who graduated from West Point in 2005. In October of 2007 in Iraq, First Lieutenant Martin was killed in action, serving his fellow soldiers and his country. I can think of no better person who understands the importance and the meaning of this day than Chief Warrant Officer Martin. Candy, I thank you very much for your service. I thank you for your personal sacrifice, and I thank you for joining us today.
Good morning, and thank you for that kind and warm introduction. I do believe this is a virtual Memorial Day program. I am happy to believe that there's so many that are going on all around our great United States. Thank you also to General Hagee and your team for hosting this very important and poignant event as we honor and remember the more than 1.3 million who gave their life in service to our country. From my introduction, you learned that I am a Gold Star mother. Our only son, First Lieutenant Thomas Michael Martin, was killed in action while serving in Iraq on October 14th of 2007. Of the 4,576 American lives lost in Iraq, Tom was number 3,823. He was our first, the oldest child with 3 younger sisters, but he's so much more than a number. Throughout my Gold Star journey, I have learned that there is a story behind every Gold Star. Today I would like to share a wee bit about my Gold Star, my Tom. Although he was offered 2 separate college scholarships, he chose military service and enlisted in the United States Army just 5 days after his high school graduation. After basic and advanced training, he became a field artillery soldier with his first duty station at Camp Stanley near the DMZ in South Korea. As a young trooper, he learned the real lessons of defending freedom. Number one, stringing concertina wire was a necessity, and it was not at all fun. And number two, live fire of MLRSs was no longer a training opportunity, it was real. Duty in South Korea near the DMZ was serious, and Tom knew that he wanted to make the best of his military career and serve in the best way possible. Tom applied for admission to the United States Military Academy. He was accepted and graduated from West Point in 2005. After graduation and a lot of young lieutenant training, Tom was on his first and only deployment with the 4th of the 25th Infantry Division, Fort Richardson, Anchorage, Alaska. They were in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. He was part of the 2007 surge, served as a sniper platoon leader, led his men on approximately 280 dismounted missions, walking just shy of 1,000 kilometers in his 12-plus months of deployment. His goal, get his men home alive. He completed that mission, and all of the soldiers under his leadership came home alive. Today, we continue a close relationship with many of those soldiers, something both my husband Ed and I are thankful for. While each and every day is Memorial Day for all Gold Star families, Memorial Day, the holiday, that last Monday of May, has become much more special to us. It's a day that we urge Americans to pause and reflect on the purpose of the day and remember. As a child, I remember going with my mother to the cemetery to prepare the family graves for Decoration Day. Yes, I'm old enough to remember when Memorial Day was called Decoration Day. As a child and even as a young adult, Memorial Day it was just another holiday. Yes, and I was one of those who believed that Memorial Day was the start of summer. Time for cookout, ball games, family picnics. I don't remember the exact time when I realized that Memorial Day was so much more than my initial thoughts, but it did happen. And as a young adult, I'm thankful I came to know and understand that Memorial Day is to remember those who died defending our country. Tom, my firstborn, my only son, we had the typical mother-son relationship. We were close. He was my biggest critic, and when he would give me that sometimes verbal correction, I would normally respond with something cute like, "I hope your next mother is perfect." For that, I would always get an eye roll. Tom, how well I remember that last face-to-face conversation I had with him. He'd been home on his mid-tour leave and was getting ready to go back to his unit in Iraq. It was the morning of April 17th of 2007. Tom and I were enjoying small talk in the kitchen of our San Antonio home. I was telling him all the reasons why I loathed the reality of him having to go back to Iraq. I knew he was experiencing things that no mother ever wanted their child to go through. The conversation went back and forth, me with all my reasoning and him countering with my comments with reasons why I should and would return to Iraq. It was probably after the fourth round of banter when he left me with one last comment that caught me off guard and speechless. He said, "Mom, it's what we do." Those 4 strong words, how could I argue with that? Because I was talking to him as a mother and not as a fellow soldier. His last words still talk to me today. It's what we do. Tom was raised in a military family, and as far back as we can trace, many in our families have answered that call to defend freedom. It's what we do. The more I think about his comment, I believe he was referring to so much more than our family heritage of serving. I believe his comment made reference to all those who answered the call to defend freedom. I believe his comment made reference to all those Americans who do the right thing and organizations who do the right thing. I'm thankful for American Gold Star Mothers, a 92-year-old organization of Gold Star moms whose mission is to turn their sorrow into service and find ways to make life better for veterans and their families. I'm thankful for organizations like the Admiral Nimitz Foundation and the National Museum of the Pacific War, who host events like this so that we, the American people, cannot and will not forget about those who paid the ultimate sacrifice in service to our country. I'm thankful for the education and exhibits displayed in this very building that reminds us that freedom is not free. I'm thankful that because we live in the greatest country in the world, that my son will never be forgotten. Long after I'm gone, very few will remember Candy Martin, a mom. But when people walk through the National Cemetery where First Lieutenant Thomas Michael Martin is laid to rest, I know he will be remembered. Since Tom's death, I have learned that I need to redefine my purpose. Sometimes that redefinition and repurpose happens daily. And while I'm still the wife of a loving husband and the mother of 4 adult children, albeit one is no longer living, I find myself constantly looking for balance. Am I drawing more attention and more motherly love to our 3 adult daughters, or to the memory of and love of our son who gave his life in service? It's tough. Rather than sink into that hole, I had to rediscover who I am as a mother, a wife, a sister, a friend, and yes, even as a soldier for life. I had to find something bigger than myself. I had to answer the why. Why am I here? What is my purpose? What's the plan? What's my destiny? A few years ago, I was talking with a close friend about grief, and she said, "Grief does not define you. Grief reveals you." I was never going to be one to let grief define me. I encourage you to find something bigger than yourself and make it your purpose. Make your purpose your why. Not long ago, a young soldier who served under my son once said to me, "You belong to an organization whose members are chosen by God." JP's comment reiterates the understanding that we don't choose our path in life, but I do believe it's a higher power. While on that path, know that you determine your personal victory. Often, self-contained grief is self-destructive, so I encourage you to find your why, find your way, and find how to redefine your purpose. Tom's last conversation with me is a gentle reminder of what I should do as an American. My hope is that you share my sentiments and remember the real meaning of Memorial Day. As in Tom's word, it's what we do. I've shared the story behind my star, my gold star, and I know that all of you know the right things to do on Memorial Day. In closing, I have a few favors to ask of you. Please say Tom's name. Say the name of others you have come to know who believed in something bigger than themselves and unfortunately paid the ultimate sacrifice while serving our great country. Please do not allow their death to be in vain. And lastly, please allow me to share a few little tidbits of what not to do, things that sometimes cause Gold Star family members to cringe. Number 1, never say Happy Memorial Day. I think we all agree there's nothing happy about death. Perhaps have a blessed Memorial Day may be a better fit. Number 2, don't thank those currently serving or those who have served that are still with us today. Remember Armed Forces Day, the 3rd Saturday of each May honors those still in uniform, and each November 11th we honor and remember our veterans. Number 3, please don't disregard its importance. If you must, go ahead and shop. Look for those new mattresses, buy the new car, but while lying comfortable on your new mattress or cruising in those new wheels, or even tossing a steak on the grill, please remember to raise a glass in honor of the 1.3 million who never lived to celebrate one Veterans Day. And number 4, don't allow politics keep you from remembering. Even if you do not support war, nor the reasons why our country goes to war, our country has had brave men and women who have defended our freedom of choice for more than 200 years. Please separate your personal opinion from how those that paid the ultimate sacrifice and how they should be remembered. Thank you for allowing me to share this Memorial Day with all of you. God bless the souls of all we honor and remember today, and may God bless the United States of America.
Freedom isn't free.
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 Freedom is not free.
Freedom isn't free.
Freedom isn't free.
Freedom is not free.
Freedom isn't free.
Freedom isn't free.
Freedom isn't free.
Freedom isn't free.
Freedom is not free.
Freedom isn't 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 free.
Freedom is not free.
Freedom is not free.
Freedom isn't free.
Freedom isn't free.
Freedom isn't free.
Freedom isn't free.
Freedom is not free.
Freedom is not free.
Freedom isn't free.